So today we will be reading the Murli for 27th of May, 1974. The words of souls who are instruments for world benefit are always beneficial. Baba always talks about three things: our thoughts, our words, and actions. And Baba keeps stressing in most of the Murlis that your thoughts, your words, and actions should always be elevated, should always be beneficial. But in this Murli, Baba's gone a little deeper into the words of elevated souls. Baba says that elevated souls cannot have negative, wasteful, or even ordinary words. It's a very subtle arrangement. Even ordinary words, Baba says, can lead to some bad outcomes. And he'll explain that in the morning. Baba also goes on to say that there are memorials in the Bhakti Marg of the beneficial elevated words that we use at this time. And then he goes on to ask us, are we checking every time we are speaking whether our words are elevated, beneficial, or not? It's a beautiful Murli. We'll listen to Baba's versions. Baba says, do all of you experience the difference between coming into sound and going beyond sound? I think the microphone was not working well that day. So again and again, Baba would be experiencing coming into sound and then going silent. So he says, do you experience this difference? Look, if the sound is not accurate, you do not like it, do you? So when somebody is speaking on the mic and suddenly there's a loud sound that sometimes the microphone makes, it's very disturbing, right? If some music is playing, a calm music is playing, and suddenly a loud noise comes out of the microphone, it's very disturbing. So Baba says, if the sound is not accurate, you do not like it, do you? When there's even a little thing that is not working well in the instrument, you do not like the sound that emerges from it, do you? Now it's like a harmony that goes around. So even if one small instrument in the harmony doesn't work well, we don't like the end result. In the same way, your mouth are also a mic. Baba has many times mentioned this in the Murli, that your mouth is a mic. When accurate or diplomatic words do not emerge from the mouth, do you know what experience others have? Or are you not aware of that? Imagine, our mouths are mics, and when accurate or diplomatic words are not coming out of the mouth, what would others be experiencing? Since you sometimes don't like the sound of the physical instruments, the sounds or words that emerge from your mouth should automatically be experienced in the same way by yourself as by others. Just like physical instruments. And you would have experienced sometimes when we speak, after speaking, we get very tired, and we feel that I shouldn't have spoken this, or I shouldn't have spoken so much. I could have just spoken little and got the message conveyed. But still, we end up speaking more than required, or we end up speaking something which is not required. It keeps bothering us inside after that engage or the exchange is over. Right? So we also don't experience or don't feel very good when there are any such words that come out of our mouth which are not diplomatic or accurate. But we ignore that feeling. And Baba is asking us to go deep in that feeling, that whenever you have a words exchange, the feeling that comes in, is it good or bad after the exchange? That'll tell you whether the words were elevated, accurate, diplomatic, or just wasteful or ordinary. Baba goes on, if you realized this, could transformation take place from this moment? What do you think? From this moment, all wasteful words, words of expansion, words that waste your time, and words that blame others for your weakness should finish for all time. This is something we should underline. Baba talks about 4 kinds of words. Wasteful words, words of expansion which are not needed, words that waste your time, and words that blame others for your weakness. Baba says sometimes we become lawyers of our own and judges of others. The words that blame others for our weakness. There are 4 very important kinds of words that we have to avoid. Every word of elevated souls is said to be an elevated version. Such an important statement. Every word of elevated souls is said to be an elevated version. In Hindi, they use the word Kamal Mukh, which means anything that comes out of the mouth of elevated souls is like, it's like lotus flower. It's music to ears. Elevated versions means those versions that make you elevated. So whenever I'll hear the words coming out of an elevated soul's mouth, I also become elevated. That's how elevated versions are. So Gulzar Dadi used to speak very less, but whenever you will ask something, she will give a very accurate answer. Asha Didi was once telling that, she used to stay in the same room as Gulzar Dadi. And one day there was a program that they had, and the program didn't go very well. Asha Didi had organized that program. So it did not go very well, and she was slightly upset. And there was another event in the evening that they had to go for. And Asha Didi told Gulzar Dadi, Dadi, can you take somebody else instead of me? I'm not feeling very well. Aunt Dadi kept quiet for 5 minutes. Viskev Drishti did not answer. And then the only words that she said after that was, is this Gyan? That's all. And Asha Didi says, those 3 words, is this Gyan? They got into my mind so deeply got ingrained into my mind that even today she remembers those three words, is this Gyan. And whenever she's about to do something, she'll think of it, is this Gyan? What am I doing? What I'm going to do, is this Gyan or is it not Gyan? That's how elevated versions are. So Baba goes on to say, elevated versions are not a lot of words of expansion. Just as the seed of a tree is considered to be elevated, the seed does not have expansion, but has the essence of the tree merged within it. In the same way, elevated versions are not of expansion, but are filled with essence. Compare it with Gulzar Dadi's words. So no extra words spoken, only 3 words in the answer, but they had the essence of what they were discussing. Very accurate, very diplomatic. Baba says, a seed will not have expansion. A seed will not be big. You can't even see it from far off. But it'll have the essence of the whole tree emerged within it. A tree can be seen from far off, but a seed you cannot see. But the tree comes from the seed. That's how elevated versions are. They are not expansions, but they are filled with the essence, which leads to a lot of expansion eventually, good expansion. Somebody changing their thought process, somebody stopping to do something wrong. These words are like blessings, is what Baba says, elevated versions. Baba goes on to say, do you speak such words that are filled with essence, diplomacy, yoga, power, love, self-respect, and awareness? In Hindi, it's explained, essence is Saryut, diplomacy is Yuktiyut, yoga is Yogyut, power is Shaktiyut, and Snehayut, Somanyut, and Smritiyut. Underline this. Any word I say, it should have either of these things. It should have essence, diplomacy. Sometimes diplomacy is also very important. We can't just say a fact the way it is, because it might hurt the other soul whom we are talking to or whom we are talking about. So it is always good to be yukti, but give your message. Sometimes giving a message is very important. Yogyuk. If we will be yogyuk, we will be in our awareness that I'm an elevated soul and I cannot say. So every word that will come out will go through a filter of consciousness. Shakti. Every word that comes out of my mouth should be powerful, and it should transfer that power from me to the other person, to the other soul. Love. No judgment. Everybody, I love everyone, and I say those words of love. Of self-respect, I will not disrespect myself. I'll stay in Swaman. So these are very important aspects to be underlined, how our words should be. In today's world, special souls who attain a perishable status check their every word before they speak, in order that wrong words would not emerge from their lips. Words that might then become the basis of creating conflict in their country or amongst their companions. Hmm? Special souls who attain perishable status, like ministers and prime ministers, they're very careful of how they're speaking, what they're speaking, their body language. It should not lead to any kind of conflict or controversy. They are very careful. In the same way, you elevated souls are instruments for the elevated task of world benefit. Your stage in the world is very special. Hmm? That awareness needs to be there. I'm a special soul. Let alone words of waste. You also have to check whether the words that emerge from your lips are beneficial for yourself and for anyone else. Not just waste. Waste we should have left long time back. Baba says, now whatever comes out of your mouth, is it beneficial for you or anyone else? And if it's not, then no point speaking. However, according to the stage of the present time, no such words in which there is no benefit should emerge from your lips. Underline. This is an instruction from the Father. No such words should emerge which do not have any benefit. You were also told earlier that the memorial of the importance of every word of you special souls is still continuing today on the path of devotion. What is that memorial? What is the memorial on the path of devotion of the importance of every word, of your every word? The Gita. The Gita is the memorial of knowledge, and they speak of the importance of this in their practical life. Even when you go to a court, they'll ask you to put your hand on the Gita and then start speaking or giving your version. That's how important the Gita is. And Baba says Gita is a memorial of your elevated words or versions. Baba says, look, even today, devotees consider every word of elevated souls to be absolute truth. Even the gurus, whatever they say, they'll consider it to be absolute truth. They may be wasteful words or words of falsehood, but they still consider those words to be words of elevated souls. And so they give them the importance. That's the nature of all the bhakts, to give importance, whatever is being said by an elevated soul. When did the memorial begin of considering every word of an elevated soul to be absolute truth? When did this start? First, the real things are put into practice. And then on the path of devotion, just their memorial remains. So when something is truth, it is put into practice first. You become the version of it. And then it becomes a memorial in the path of devotion, that these are true words because someone had become a version of these words and had lived on this in this world. So it becomes a memorial because the real things don't remain anymore, but the memories remain. Therefore, since even now so much importance is given to every word on the path of devotion, you can see and hear of this even now, and there will be such words of importance filled with truth and world benefit in the final moments. Even in the final moments, there will only be words of world benefit. So do you speak every word in this way? I've asked us to check. Day by day, the words that emerge from those who are becoming Maharathis and Mahavirs, number wise, according to their efforts, will become the truth. Baba keeps saying this in the Murli. Whatever you will think, you will speak, you will become Siddhi Swarup and Samarthi Swarup. Whatever you say has to happen. This does not happen at the moment because at present, there are a lot of wasteful and ordinary words being spoken. When there is a mix, anything that is mixed gets diluted. So the impact or the effort doesn't come. Or if it comes, it takes time. But when there'll be no wasteful or ordinary words, only beneficial words, imagine the impact that will have. It'll be like a vaccine. Baba goes on to say, when someone writes an article to be published in a magazine, having written the article, the author checks it to see whether everything is written correctly and impressively, and whether it is according to the aim or the topic. Now they proofread the whole document after writing it. In the same way, from Amritvela until night, you also write an essay of your accounts through your practical thoughts, words, and deeds. That is, it is recorded in the drama through your deeds. Every night, check everything that was recorded or written as to how impressive and powerful it was, and check how much was wasted. Do you have such checking? When I was reading this Murli, I was thinking, when an author writes an essay, he has an option to change it when he's proofreading it. He can undo. There's a button called undo, right? You can undo whatever you've written and write a new statement or word if you want. But for us, once it's done, it's recorded. We don't have an undo button. And it'll get repeated every 5,000 years. That's why Baba says everything you do is very powerful and very impactful. And every minute wasted is a loss because we cannot undo that. So we should continue to check momentarily how we are going, where we are going. Is it on track as Baba's expectations or not? Okay, Baba goes on to say, Babdata has three forms of every recorded moment in an emerged form of every child. That is, everything that has been recorded through your thoughts, words, and deeds. What result was seen? In the evening, from Amritvela till now, Baba says, I have a recorded moment of every emerged child in the form of thoughts, words, and deeds. Even now, half the result visible in 75% of the children is of speaking wasteful or ordinary words. According to this result, if every word spoken becomes the absolute truth, you would then become instruments to slacken or make the efforts of many souls ordinary. Not a very good thing. This is why, according to the drama, not everyone has this blessing. Baba says you don't have the blessing that every word you speak will become the truth, because you still have wasteful and ordinary words, and that can slacken or make the efforts of other souls also ordinary. That's why all of us don't have that blessing. There are very few souls, that is only 25%, and even they have only slightly begun to experience this elevated blessing. Therefore, consider it to be your responsibility and give it that importance and pay attention to every word you speak. You may speak in an ordinary way, but because the words of you elevated souls come true, many souls experience a loss. Even though we are speaking ordinary, we are not saying anything negative, but even ordinary leads to many souls experiencing a loss. This is why, on the path of devotion, together with the blessing, the curse is also remembered. You do not give a curse, but such wasteful activity and words automatically become instruments to bring a loss. Such a big thing. Even our ordinary words can become a curse for somebody else. That is, because of your words and deeds, ordinary souls who hear your words or see your activity go into the stage of descent. That is, they go into a stage whereby they completely stop making effort. In this way, they are cursed by you. You would have heard, they'll say, if they can do this, why can't I do this? If they are so slow, they are ordinary, then I can also be ordinary. It's okay. That's like a curse. Baba says, what would you say if even against their conscious wish or without thinking about it, those souls who are instrumental for world benefit become instrumental in bringing a curse to another soul? What would you think? Would you call such a soul a blessed soul who grants blessings? Therefore, this much attention and refined checking is absolutely essential at this time, because your elevated life is now for serving the world. Until now, you have used it for self-service, for self-transformation, or whilst under the influence of your own sanskars and nature for making or spoiling your own stage. Right now, till now, we're only using our words, our thoughts for our own stage. That time has now gone by. Now, your every breath, every thought, every second, every deed, all the powers, all the godly sanskar, your elevated nature, and all the treasures you have attained so far are for serving the world. Everything, every breath, thought, second, deed, powers, the godly sanskar, and the elevated nature, and all the treasures that we have attained and retained are for the world. If even now you are just using them for your own selves, what reward would you receive? Would you become master creators or the creation? The creation only exists for the self, whereas the creator exists for the creation. Those who do not become master creators now cannot become master creators, masters of the world in the future. The time for the perfect stage and the final result is now coming to close. And this Baba spoke in 73. We are in 2023. Bapdada will not announce the result through words or on a piece of paper or write each one's number on the board. So how will the result be announced? And Baba is saying, in the end, how will you get to know where you stand? You yourself, based upon your own worthiness and specialities, will automatically consider yourself to be worthy of a particular number and prove this yourselves. Baba uses the word pratyaksh. So everybody will become a mirror of what their stage is automatically. Baba will not have to tell. Automatically, without even thinking about it, the result of the final numbers will emerge from your own lips, or they will be visible from your activity. Until now, you have been using the royal language of royal effort makers. But in a short time, the royal language will become real. Whatever we are speaking, doing, becoming, it'll start showing, it'll become like real. The memorial of the royal effort makers from the previous cycle is that no matter how much effort you make to make your stage in front of the mirror of truth, even the royal is visible as real. They say, no, you speak as if you're a deity. So even the royal starts getting visible as real. You can see the image of their future in their present. So in the future, true words, true attitude, true vision, true atmosphere, true environment, and the gathering of truth will be visible very clearly. That is, the Brahmin family will become like a palace of mirrors. Imagine, you won't be able to hide even a single small flaw. The final result will automatically be announced in this way. You will also get to know, others will also get to know. At the moment, you are able to hide even big marks or stains because the palace of mirrors, which would allow the marks to be clearly visible from all sides, is not yet ready. When you step aside, the marks are hidden. That is, by your moving aside from in front of the mirror, the sins are hidden. Imagine all four walls are made of mirror. Then where will we hide? But the walls are not ready yet, Baba is saying. They are not really hidden, but you move aside and please yourself by thinking that they are now hidden. The father also becomes the benefactor for the children and becomes ignorant of this fact as though he does not know anything. Right now, you'll feel Baba is okay with this, but he's just being ignorant to the fact that we are hiding our own flaws. But this is only at the moment. If the father were to say that he is aware of how long these marks have been there, or in what form they have been there, what would be the form of those who relate this to the father? A method for relating this has been kept, but even if they wish to tell Baba, their mouths would close at that time. If Baba would have known, and if Baba would have told, I know everything, even if we would have wanted to tell our flaws to Baba, we'll not be able to. So that's why Baba acts ignorant, so that we can go and tell him what our flaws are. Since the Father knows this, why does he listen to you? Because it is only when you speak of the actions and thoughts created by yourself that you are able to step on to the ladder of realization. That's why Baba acts ignorant, so that we realize what mistakes we have done. To realize something, to repent for something, or to ask for forgiveness for something are the same thing. This is why, in order to lighten yourselves and bring about transformation, a method has been created to tell Baba everything. Baba says, you tell me and forget about it. And don't do it again. With this method, the sins are reduced. Therefore, do you know what the result will be if after the palace of mirrors is created, you look at yourself clearly and clear yourself? According to the drama, Bap Dada will also very clearly issue a challenge to those souls so that you will be able to do. So what will you be able to do then? Therefore, on the basis of realization, become very clear now. That is, lighten yourself of any burden. For only then will you be able to become a form of double light, an angelic form and an embodiment of soul consciousness. How important. Release all the burdens and become double light. Don't carry the burden of any flaw. Acha. To the merciful children of the merciful Father, to those who are constantly elevated and clear mirrors, to the embodiments of divinity, the embodiments of knowledge, the embodiments of constant cheerfulness, the spiritual images that attract and are free from all attraction, the embodiments of all divine virtues, the benefactors for all souls, the images of support for bringing benefit to such great and serviceable souls. Bap Dada's love, remembrance, good night, and namaste. We will take a minute to reflect on this Murli, and then we will start the journey. Okay. Anyone who wants to share their journey thoughts on today's Murli? Baba has spoken about words. So what are the words that Baba spoke about that cannot come out of an elevated soul's mouth? Any thoughts, any journeys?
Waste and ordinary words.
Waste and ordinary. And also words of expansion.
Yeah.
So can anybody go deep into words of expansion? I don't know if we have ever thought through words of expansion and how they can affect our stage or other stage. Any thoughts on that?
I will just share.
I'm sure.
Om Shanti. The words of expansion is when someone would create a habit of explaining something in a very broad way, like when a small thing needs to be explained, just like somebody would say the whole Ramayana story. So which can be probably said in 1 or 2 words. So in this way, we waste our energy and also spoil the environment.
Okay. By words of expansion.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Any other thoughts? Very correctly, brother said that words of expansion, they dilute the environment. What we can achieve by just mentioning the essence. Because when we use a lot of words of expansion, we are moving away from our stage of silence, our yukti yogic stage, right? And then we are in a way coming down and not able to take the other souls also up to our levels, but we come down to their levels. That's when we use words of expansion. That's why Baba always says, use less words, remain in silence. Very correctly, brother mentioned. Then Baba spoke about some words filled with essence, diplomacy. Any thoughts on that? Saryuk, Yukti Yuk. Have you ever experienced Snehi Yuk, Saman Yuk? Sometimes when we are not diplomatic, how can that affect other souls? And when we are diplomatic in the correct way, not politically correct, but diplomatic, how that can elevate other souls? Any experiences, any thoughts on that?
I will try. So diplomatic way is when many people, especially when we are explaining this knowledge to someone, right? So many people have questions. They might cross question also. So when that happens, we have to stabilize ourselves in the stage and then try to give them the correct method. In other words, Baba used to say this in Sakar Murli often, the snake should die and also the stick should not break.
Correct. Very true, brother. Anyone else would like to share their thoughts?
Om Shanti, sister.
Go ahead, Jojo.
It's drama because I just got the internet back just a minute back. It had gone away for half an hour. So what I couldn't say, I thought what I'm not going to share in words, let me share it in thoughts. So that's the effect of even thoughts. Today, like I always feel, the word words, it can either uphold a truth or it can nurture a lie. And I have heard that saying, silence is golden. If silence is golden, why speak? Because if silence is golden, speech, they say, is silver. So why speak? Why can't I be silent? So that was the time when this came, Dheere bolo, meeta bolo, kam bolo king. And then soch ke bolo, tol mol ke bolo, me and all king. But in today's Murli, what I just liked, where Baba speaks about stains and mirrors, where the method Baba is given. Baba is saying you have to share, just tell Baba. And even though whatever I speak is not truth, but it's something there, why does Baba listen to it? Because I am repenting and I have done realization. So that one thing I liked, lighten, tell Baba everything. So that time, the words which I speak, which I share with Baba, It's beautiful. I just like that paragraph. As I told you, I just joined late. Om Shanti.
Now, beautifully captured, sister. Somebody else is trying to speak. Okay. Yeah, sister, very beautifully captured that, when we speak, see, Baba is like that mother and the father, with whom you can speak anything, share anything. And he's also that best friend. So we should not mix and we should not hide. That's what Baba expects. So while knowing everything, he becomes ignorant. Sometimes we also do that. We know that a child has done some mistake, but we want to hear from them what they have done, whether they've understood their mistake or not, or they still are ignorant of their mistakes. So to make them and give them a learning, we act ignorant. And that's how the child learns. And the same technique or yukti Baba uses with us. And it works. We realize our mistakes, we go up the ladder of realization, and 85% that mistake will not be repeated. Very nicely captured. Any other thoughts, churnings?
Om Shanti sister. Today's Murli, Baba compared to our mouth as mic. So the sound or words that emerge from our mouth should automatically be experienced in the same way by ourselves, by others. And Baba also wants to finish all these things from this moment, such as all wasteful words, words of expansion, words that waste your time, and words that blame others. For your own weakness should be finished for all the time. This is the elevated version I get from.
Very true. These are the elevated versions. So if we avoid these 4 kinds of words that Sister just mentioned, whatever will come out of the mic of the mouth will be elevated versions. So there are 2 ways. One is to speak good, or one is to not speak bad. The result will be the same. Yes, sister.
Sister, there's a saying in Marathi, Shabda Shabda Zapunte. Like, hide, and what you have to say, like hold it. Don't allow the tongue to just leave it like that, because words are jewels. I always love this. This is actually Tukaram, what he used to say, Shabda Shabda Zapunte. Because as Baba mentioned, for me, words, if it's a curse, it kills a person. We have seen in history how the rishis and munis out of anger used to throw words and all, and how curse. I think that is one of the worst sins one could commit, where your word, leave alone changing a person, is a curse. I think that's what I would always like to see, that I didn't speak anything to kill a person by this as a curse. That's one thing I think I would like to really hold my tongue. That what Baba has said were also touched me.
Very correct. See, why they always use Rishi's Muni curse? Why not some layman or some normal person? Because the Rishis and Munis have achieved a certain level of elevation, and when they curse, because they've achieved that elevation and they've become, Samarthi Swarup, which Baba uses in Hindi, their each word and their each action has a result, has an impact. It will not happen with others, but with those Rishi Munis. It's a sign. It's a sign of elevated souls. And Baba's very subtly mentioned in this Murli, even if you don't intentionally curse anyone through your words, but even if your words are ordinary, it can become a curse for someone else. So I'm not cursing anyone. I'm just being ordinary because of my weakness. But because I am an elevated soul and I'm supposed to be a master world benefactor, I'm being ordinary and that's acting as a curse. Such a subtle thing this is. And this becomes a karmic debt. So I have to be very careful what I'm speaking, to whom I'm speaking. Am I being ordinary? Am I being elevated? Thoughts, even if, see, Baba says thoughts will continue to come till the end, ordinary thoughts. But words should not come out. I think any other sharings? Vijit Bhai, you're trying to share?
Yeah, so here, so Baba is trying to teach us this method, right, to become elevated in our words. So here, the focus would be to become essential in our words that we speak. So it is also worth thinking how to become this, or how to get to a stage where we only speak essential words. So my understanding is we need a lot of yoga power in this. So when somebody gives the essence, then the whole story or whole meaning is going, or the understood by the opponent person is through the vibration. So the first is the one word, and the remaining, the vibration, the powerful vibration that comes from the yogi, is actually making him understand, or making him realize the words in a powerful way. If somebody have more lights, more explanation onto it, you can add. So I'm just trying to understand how to be more sensible in our words. One way is, yeah, of course, we'll have to eliminate all the waste within us, and then we become best. When the waste is removed, I guess eventually the best comes out, which will be in the form of essence.
I think, as you said, brother, overthinking also leads, when I think more that I should do this, I should say this and all, that leads to my more kind of talking, overthinking. And I like this principle of swallowing. They just say if something is there, if you swallow it, what comes out will be less. So before I talk, I just stop, pause, I take in a breath, I take in this, then I say, okay, what is to be told can be told. These are small kind of exercises. But the knowledgefully speaking, I think I try to talk more with Baba. When you speak with Baba, your language with Baba is not going to be rubbish. It's going to be beautiful. So the more and more a conversation I have with Baba, my words will become less hurting, less essential. There are many, many more ways. This is how I practice.
Yeah, so we also, if we heard about Brahma Papa, right? So when people or datis or titis, when they had to talk to Brahma Papa, when they go near to Brahma Papa, they used to get all the answers. They didn't have to talk. So how that was coming? Or Brahma Papa used to use very less words, but he used to communicate a lot in less words. So how these used to happen? I think it's all coming. The full answer is coming in the form of vibration.
Very correct, brother.
Oh,
I think
Om
Om
Shanti.
Bhai wants to say Om Shanti.
Yes, what brother just said, it's basically soul to soul communication, and that happens from that powerful vibration which radiate the attitude, the vision, and the environment. It's very powerful, and we can we must practice actually where we should not use the words. We just use our stage as the mode of communication, and it really affects. But what happens is we my personally, what is my experience is uh, I get influenced by my own sanskars and my own habit of 63 births of using the words more often. So in that process, I come beyond, from beyond the sound, I come to the sound and get entangled there. So which is very less effective, and it can actually be a little ordinary also, these words. So I should first, the starting has to be from the soul consciousness stage, where I have been taught by Baba to go beyond sound and accumulate the power, accumulate the elevated attitude, elevated vision, elevated awareness, elevated, that seed stage. I have to be practiced. And then if I come to the sound and use the words, the elevated words automatically will come. That's a practice. Om Shanti.
Thanks for sharing, brother. Very beautiful thoughts. I know we are running short on time. I'll quickly add. So for me, I think as a person, I've always been an introverted person. So for me, my thought whenever I'm talking to someone is time is very precious, you know. So how can I explain this thing or make or give an advice in minimum words so that I can get back to, being busy either in my manthan or in my whatever I was doing, right, with Baba, or, reading some book or something, Baba keeps telling us, keep yourself busy, right? So any time out of that is time waste. So that habit of being introverted as a nature has really helped me in trying to be essenseful and trying to exactly use your vibrations. Uh, when speaking to others, try to use without speaking. Can I make this person understand? Because the more we speak, the more it will get into a debate sometimes, right? But if we are quiet and if we are just essenseful, like what Gulzar Dadi did, right? Instead of explaining the whole situation to Asha Didi, she just gave an essence, and the other soul understood. And that will come when we are in our own stage of soul consciousness. And it's a practice over time, not just at that time that we are trying to be soul conscious. No. How are we spending our time is also a very impactful thing when we are coming in contact with others. So being introvertedness as a nature, trying to be more and more silent, spending time with yourself, with Baba, it helps because then you are looking for that time and trying to go back there again and again. You start enjoying that. So you try to avoid extra words and you try to avoid coming into expansion. Like a tortoise, you speak and then you go back into your beautiful world with Baba. That's something that helps me. Okay. I think we are already on time, so we'll just spend a quick 1 minute in silence. No commentary today. Just let's reflect and do our own checking and then spend some time in silence. And eventually we can log off. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om
Thank
Shanti.
you, Baba. Thank you, Shivani sister. Thank you, Divine Family. We shall meet tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.